We're here in Bayside at the Supper Room after this really extraordinary event called Reinventing Yourself, where some of the most wonderful women got up and spoke to an audience about their lives, about where they've been, what they've done. And one of those women I'm very honored to be here with. She's also a Baysider, a Bayside High School alumnus, and her name is Judy, Dr. Judy Kuriansky. Judy, this is so much fun. What Judy and I have run into each other over the years in different places and suddenly realized our origins and how close we're connected. So, Judy, it's great having you here.
And it's terrific to be with you, Gregg, and to be coming home. Because when my friend Pat asked me to come participate in this event and said Gregg was doing it, Gregg was a buddy of my sister, and I heard his name mentioned constantly when I was growing up and she was growing up. And then all of a sudden he's at CBS television where I was, and then we figure out this connection. And he's a really good man, because at this event, his question was, what does a man have to do in order to be a nice guy? Because actually I wrote a book called How to Love a Nice Guy, because women are always going for those rats who treat them really poorly, have the BMW, maybe, $10 million, but they're rats and they don't love you. So that's what I've been teaching people on the radio for years and years and years, is go for the nice guy. And guys, be a nice guy like this one is, because he's kind, considerate, listens, and cares. And that's the definition of a nice guy. And, of course, there's the way he has to behave in life in general and also in bed.
And I asked, what does it take to be the great man behind a great woman? Because the women that were speaking here tonight were all great women. And I asked, how do you be a great man behind that great woman? Because a lot of what we hear these days, the really good men are just invisible. Because we're hearing about are the Harvey Weinsteins and the creeps and the minority of the really bad guys that need to be eliminated and put in jail, as far as I'm concerned. But I'm into the Me Too movement. I understand everything. I think all of the changes that are taking place are wonderful for our society. But also the good men are taking a bad rap. And I said, well, first of all, let's not make them so invisible anymore, but how do you be a great man behind a great woman? And they had great answers. You guys had great answers.
Yes, and definitely a terrific guy supports you and knows what you want to be and really is supportive of that. For example, at some point in my life, I wanted to be in a band. A lot of people do. Want to be a rock star. Okay, so what did my husband do? He went out, I was playing the bass, learning how to play the bass, and he went out and had a case for my bass guitar, personally made. It was in leather with this red velvet, beautiful inside, and that's what he did, and it supported my dream. And then when we were sitting around as 6 women trying to name the band, guess who came up with the name? My husband, the guy. And he comes up with this name called Artemis Band of Women. What is Artemis?
Greek goddess.
Yes, a Greek goddess. I'm very into the goddesses, and every woman should treat herself like a goddess and expect to be treated like a goddess, and treat the guy like a god from the ancient way of what that means. Not just, God, but honoring the highest level of the person. That's really what treating the god and the goddess is like. That's what namaste means. I honor the god, goddess in you and feel that way myself. So
yes, the spirit in me recognizes and honors the spirit in you. And there's also...
You see? There he is. Okay, the guys who are watching really need to take this as a lesson. The women who are watching need to know this is the way the guys should be. Having good role models is very important. Really.
I'm not a role model.
Well, yes, you are. As a good person.
Let's go with that, yeah.
Recognize who is a good person inside. That is a person who really cares about other people and is there to help you in an emergency. So I wrote a book called The Idiot's Guide to Dating and The Idiot's Guide to a Healthy Relationship, and then The Idiot's Guide to Tantric Sex. They go in order, right? But one of the keys to finding the right nice guy and to a healthy relationship is who is there, ask yourself this, who is there for you in an emergency? In an emergency, who is going to be there for you at any time, at any place, and really cares to be there to solve the problem with you, to make sure you are okay. And that's the kind of person you are.
Well, I'd like to be that kind of person.
You do. You see what I mean? These are the criteria of being the nice guy and treating yourself well as a woman, having self-esteem to know that you deserve a partner who is that way to you and cares as much about you and your development and your health and your mental well-being, as a psychologist that I care about, as for themselves, truly. Because most people are selfish, unfortunately. And in the radio business, since I was on radio for 30 years doing call-in advice talk, Dr. Judy, what do I do? My boyfriend left me. Dr. Judy, what do I do? I don't like my breasts. You know, all those questions. They used to call me the younger, taller Dr. Ruth. And so it's really key to know that that person is interested in you, cares about what your future is, cares about what you're thinking, listens to you as well.
You know, the thing about the communication and listening to you, and Dr. Phil said something too. He said something about the 3-minute rule. But I looked at it this way: if you really care about somebody, and it's somebody that you really want to know, that you want them to know you're listening, first, if they're saying something really important, try to after they've stopped, do not say the word "but." We recognize "but" as immediately antagonistic. You've been rude. You've shown that you didn't even care to listen to them. You're not even responding. You weren't listening at all. So take the word "but" out of your English language when you're responding to someone.
Oh my God, you're right. And when you write an email, don't use the word "but." Well, he's so cool. Okay, so during this event, I did say there are 3 things. There are words to take out of your vocabulary. One of them is "but," right? Another one is "not," because the brain does not like to hear "not." Because what happens is if you say, you know, don't tell me that I'm fat or something, that image is in the person's mind already and stuck in there. All they hear is the word fat or, you know, don't be mean to me, so they hear mean. In sex we say, don't say to the person, don't touch me like that. Because that's all they hear, or don't pinch me. So they hear pinch, pinch, and all they do is pinch again. Then you get irritated. This is a real serious sexual thing because the brain.
I don't mean to laugh, but it's
pinch.
true.
I was going to say an organ, but I'm trying to keep this a little clean. So you have to say what you want instead of what you don't want, in bed and out of bed. And always say to the person what they're doing that's correct. Reward what you want repeated. This is a good lesson, right? Reward what you want repeated. So take out the word "but," take out the word "not," and take out the word, as I said tonight, "try." Because try to raise your arm, you either did it or you didn't. So no try. And Yoda said there is no try.
Oh yeah, that was Yoda quote. There is no try.
To do, Yoda said, to do or not to do, there is no try.
My favorite words to whisper to a woman's ear when you're making love to her: tell me what you want.
Oh, okay. Bingo, you've got a gold star again. Tell me what you want. Okay, so here's the great guy asking what is it that you want, and what the partner needs to do. If it's a she needs to say what she wants. I would really like you to touch me this way, or I would really like you to say this particular thing to me. What is it that women most want to hear? I'm testing you now. Gregg, what is it that women most want to hear?
Besides, I love you. Besides, I love you.
Besides, I love you.
I know that one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I love you, and what else?
That women want to hear?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't met a woman yet that didn't like hearing how beautiful she was.
Oh my God! What did I say? That he's a nice guy? Yes, those are the 2 things. I mean, I've done surveys actually about this, so it's not like I made it up in my head and I've heard it, you know, so many times on the radio. Yes, she wants to hear "I love you," and she wants to hear "you're beautiful." Sadly, what is it that men most want to hear? Well, you wouldn't know that, maybe. Or maybe you do. Okay, you do. I was going to say, what is that men most want to hear? You're too good. You may not say what most guys say. They want to know they're the best. That there's because that's how it's like an ego thing. And
I don't want anybody to say that to me. I'll figure it out. I'll know whether I'm doing all right or not.
Okay.
Yeah, but I
How
don't
will
know.
you know
You don't
if
need
you're
to.
doing
In
it
fact, if you said it to me, I'd probably doubt it. But there's that old expression. There's that old expression that if a man says he's good in bed, he probably isn't. But if a woman says she's good in bed, she probably is. So.
Okay, that's very cool. So these are like little tips of sexuality, because I've heard so many things about people's sex problems, and all sexuality is communication and coming from your heart. We should think about it in terms of how you are feeling towards a person. What's your spirit that you're connecting with? This issue of tantric sex, the Idiot's Guide to Tantric Sex. So here's the picture of what it looks like. And it's not really about the act. It's not about the genitals. It's not about the organs. It's about cycling energy through your own body and then exchanging it to the other person's body and cycling it through your breath, and it ends up going up to your head and then up to the higher source, and that's where ecstasy comes from, and enlightenment from that experience, as opposed to the wham bam thank you ma'am, that kind of experience. And that does not require genitalia. It does not it just requires connecting. Actually, the first step, you want to know the first step? Oh, we got to talk about tantric sex all of a sudden. This is about love, right? Love is trending, and this is the highest state of love. So the first step is actually what's called the eye lock. The eye lock. Eye lock. So basically, you are looking into the other person's eyes, and you are looking behind the eyes. You're not looking at the color of the eyes or anything else. So behind the eyes, and you sit there with your love partner, and you breathe in and you breathe out. You breathe in and you synchronize your breathing together. So you're breathing in together and then out together. And if you make a noise about it, then you know you're breathing out together. And that way you get in tune. Somebody comes home. They're freaked out. They're angry. They're stressed. You know, they want to yell. They've had such an awful day. So the way to get, if you're going to have a sexual intimate experience, is to do this synchronized breathing so that they calm down and you're on the same wavelength. And then once you're on the same wavelength that way, breathing in and out, I'm telling you, it is magic. It is totally magic.
There are the breathing meditations where you're concentrating on your breathing and you get more in touch with your body. But there was something I'd heard. It was inhale, trust, exhale, ecstasy.
Okay, well, you know what? I love those words, because that's in the Idiot's Guide to a Healthy Relationship, is that trust is absolutely key. Being there in an emergency, I told you, is one of them. Trusting the other person, and honesty, and being able to believe them, and they follow through with what they say. So if you want to inhale with that word, trust, and exhale with ecstasy, that's great. I love those two words. You can make up your own words as long as you're saying them and feeling them and experiencing them together. But trust is critical, and ecstasy, why not? You get, by those techniques, you really can reach states of ecstasy on your own and with a partner. By the way, you could do this on your own. Yes, you can actually reach that higher state by breathing and then, exhaling. You can breathe in trust, you can breathe out ecstasy, and you can reach your own state of ecstasy. But the eye lock helps you then lock into the person. Synchronized breathing, I just told you about, and then the eye lock, which is critical, and then breathing the energy through the other person. And then you can touch parts of your body. So now, this is the heart space, so if you are breathing and touching your heart space, then you're getting more in touch with your emotions and your heart. If you feel you need to have more power, then you end up breathing and you touch over here because this is the center, the power center, the yellow here.
So it's about chakras.
Yes.
Your chakras.
Yes, okay, it's about chakras. See, look at this guy. Okay, it's about chakras. Right. This is the ancient art of lovemaking that has to do. But that's why I wrote this as the Idiot's Guide, because you don't have to think, oh, I'm being this, ancient, practicing all these odd things. It's modern, and lots of people are doing it and reaching these states of happiness together. So you know so much.
I think we should do a show together.
Really? My God, this is
The Judy and Gregg show.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday night. Tune in. Listen, this is wonderful. I love that you're back here in Bayside. I love that we have this connection. But also, look at this. Bayside are made good. You got to love it.
Bayside, this means a lot to me to come home to Bayside because I had the best time of my life in high school, and I am reliving high school constantly in my life. Constantly, because I was so happy here. I had good friends. I learned a great deal in Bayside High School. Everybody was doing sports and studying. Maybe you weren't studying, and having good friendships and going on bike rides together. And there was such a sense of camaraderie, and it really created a whole foundation for me in my life. I know some teenagers go through a hard time in high school, but for me it was perfect. And now at the UN, after the whole sex world and radio world and all of that, now I'm at the United Nations. And the United Nations is like Bayside High School to me. I feel about it the same way. It's like 193 governments, all the way from Saudi Arabia to Belgium or Canada and Bahrain and all these countries that I'm learning about.
What was that last one?
Bahrain. But you know what?
Easy for you to say.
We have a lot of problems with certain countries. But my work at the UN is about mental health. And so no matter what's going on, like, for example, with Saudi Arabia, there's all this complication with Saudi Arabia and the journalism being murdered and, there's a long history we have. But when I connect with people about mental health and their well-being, all of that stuff goes away. It's not about politics anymore. It's about a person to a person. So I had a meeting with a delegate from Saudi Arabia, the nicest guy imaginable. There was just like, he's so kind. I brought a student, and I said, this student is Saudi, and she's going back to Saudi Arabia, and she needs a job, and, she wants to help the health of your country and her country. And he said, I'll do whatever I can do for her. I'll introduce her to the Ministry of Health. And he said, it's so lovely to meet you, and let's work together. And I thought, wow, America and Saudi Arabia are going to work together. That's fantastic, about mental health. So when you touch a person's heart, when you get to who they are, and you get rid of all the other stuff, it's the same thing with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, because I wrote about that too, that all this right of return and all this, these arguments about it, when you just listen to the person and they tell their story and you realize you are the same people, you all want the same thing. You want to be happy, you want to have a good life, you want to have your children have opportunities, and all the rest of the stuff falls away. I know there's politics, I understand that, but we will be better off if we are able to just connect and listen to the other person. Listen to their story. That's a lot about what those other books are about, and that's why the Middle East crisis is no different than relationships. Whether you have Israel and Palestine, warring, whether you have your, a husband and a wife or two partners, at each other's throats about it. Drop all that, realize what do we both want? Can we communicate? Can we cooperate? Can we really empathize with the other person? Can we walk a mile in the other person's shoes? That's the way a conversation has to happen. By the way, this is a very good way to have a conversation. You say something that's important to you. Go ahead, we're going to demonstrate.
Something that's important to me?
Yeah.
That a man speaks with three voices. He speaks with his mind, but your mind is always changing. Every day you're learning something new. Every day that you've got a different comprehension of something and your perception changes, so it's always kind of changing. Your body, a man's body is only saying one thing and saying it all the time, so you don't have to listen to that too much. But it's something my father taught me. He said, a man speaks with three voices. His mind, which you can't really trust because it changes all the time. His body, that's only saying one thing, so you don't have to listen to him too much. But he said, your heart speaks the softest. And he said, listen to that voice, and you'll always be happy and you'll find real love.
What a beautiful, beautiful lesson that that's
He was a good man.
That your father taught you a beautiful lesson. So active listening would be where I heard what Gregg said, and I will repeat back to him what I thought he said. It will help him to really appreciate, because this is the Buddhist idea of a witness, appreciate what he said, and I will then also know that I understood what he said. So I would say, your father taught you a really good lesson, what I heard you say, that a man speaks with three voices. His mind, which you can't always trust, his body, which can give different messages, but his heart is the softest, and that will.
You got to listen for that one.
Did I say it right?
You did.
I heard. Okay, so we all need to listen like that.
Look, this is so much fun. We should try to do a show some more. But it's lovely having you here. We have to go, and the place is closing down. And it's so much fun having you here in Bayside. And thanks for the interview.
Yes, what a pleasure, Bayside. Orange and Blue, I'll sing the song. This is a Bayside High School song, and then we can end on that. Orange and blue are we, marching to glory. First among equals we, and first we will always be. In rain or play, we know the way and know the reason why. 'Cause orange and blue are we, will fight for Bayside High.
That was so much fun. I love it.
Is
You
that
know that.
amazing?
God bless her. Anyway,
what I said.
back with some Judy, with Dr. Judy, and see you again. I would love that. Bye. You're crazy. You actually can sing the song. God bless you.